Yes? Have you ever even seen Jehovah? Well, then you're not much of a witness, are you? Welcome to Travis Laughs. Many years ago, I was sitting with a friend of mine on the grass at a university I was attending during one of my many short-lived flirtations with getting a higher education. And we were sharing food, a Snickers bar or a bag of chips, maybe an order of sushi, I don't remember for sure. But we were having a little picnic there, of course surrounded by ants, because it's part of the tradition of having a picnic that there has to be ants there helping themselves to a little bit of your food. And I was explaining to her this philosophy that I had gone through life with, this idea that I didn't really have to worry about what was happening around me, because if I was walking along and a truck slammed into me, I would get thrown down the road, roll over a few times, hop up, brush myself off, and then I needed to start paying attention. Because if I got hit again, I might get hurt. So I was explaining this to her, and she said, I don't think your hypothesis has any supporting data. Furthermore, in order to have any peer-reviewed empirical evidence supporting it, you would have to first validate your hypothesis, and the mechanism for doing that would, by necessity, be potentially very messy. Because that's the way you talk when you're sitting around on a college campus. Whereas if I had given that theory to the rest of my friends, they would have said, Travis, you're a fucking idiot. I was watching these videos earlier this week of this guy in Southern California. His name is Big Boy, and he's an athlete and a bodybuilder of enormous size. And he does all these feats of amazing dexterity and strength, like doing push-ups from a handstand position or holding himself perfectly horizontal off of a vertical bar. But he's giant, and as I'm watching him just leap up these stadium steps, skipping multiple layers at a time with his feet together, just hop, 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 faster than I could run up or down them. And he looked like his skin should be green instead of whatever tone your personal brand of racism had you imagining. I was thinking, if that guy ran across the room and slammed into me, I would disintegrate like a piñata. No, I would disintegrate like a wicker picnic basket, full of ants, of course, because if there's a picnic, a wicker basket dropped off of the top of the Empire State Building. I would fall apart. And then I got thinking, Travis, you think that you can be hit by a vehicle and be fine. The same vehicle that if it hit that giant, powerful athlete of a man would destroy him. The same man that if he ran across the room and hit you, he would kill you. That's when I had this realization. Travis, you're a fucking idiot. Or I have a weird body dysmorphia where I perceive myself differently than I actually am. And that theory was kind of driven home earlier this week when I went and had my physical exam for the first time in 3 years. And the doctor walked in and said, "You're fat." Which I didn't know they were supposed to say that. I beg your pardon, he said, "You're not damn fat, you're just fat. So I guess everything's okay and we can be besties now." He said, "At your age, any waistline over 40 inches puts you in a much higher risk category for a bunch of diseases." And I said, "I wear a 38. And he said, "Uh-huh. So why don't you stand up there?" And he got out his tape measure and he said, "All right, relax." And so I relaxed and he said, "Relax." So I relaxed and he measured my waist and said 40.5 inches. By this time next year, when you come back in here, I want you to have a 38.5 inch waist. And I said, I could have had a 38.5 inch waist now if you didn't keep telling me to relax. The point is, I perceive myself as the kind of guy that if I ever ran into the former governor of California, he would look at me and say, "Oh look, yes, this is what I'm talking about. This man, he's perfectly made. He's made perfectly. Look at this. He's just perfectly made. All maids are perfect." Hopefully this will clarify and clear up any questions you had about why doesn't Travis do more impressions? So I don't know if that's body dysmorphia or not, but I can tell you that it is not without a certain amount of pain to realize that you have to readjust your self-perception dramatically downward. We're going through a pretty painful awakening right now as a nation. We've discovered that we've been operating under a sense of body dysmorphia for a while. We thought that we didn't have that many racists. We thought that we were all on the same page when it came to freedom of speech and freedom of expression. You do you, I'll do me, we'll mind our own damn business. What we're finding out is that we are not all the decent people that we assumed we were. So yes, there are way more individuals and institutions than I would have ever wanted to believe that are etched in some kind of race-based ideology, a systemic racism. Damn, that's a lot of work we have to do. There's a lot more people than I would have ever believed who seem willing, even eager, to risk their own rights, their own freedom of speech, in exchange for having some authority that can stalk around and silence anybody else that says something I might not be happy hearing. People tell me, Travis, racism's a fact of life. It's always been here. It's basically part of the American tradition. Well, here's the thing about traditions. This country is based on the idea that we all have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. All right? The idea of racism or people trying to infringe on each other's civil rights, that's not part of the tradition. That's a side effect, perhaps unavoidable. Ants aren't part of the tradition. The picnic is the tradition. The ants show up to ruin things. If you don't want the ants, don't have the picnic. A democracy, an almost unavoidable side effect of that is idiots and ignorance showing up to try to ruin things. If you don't want that, don't have a democracy. Myself, I want a democracy. I hope you do too, and I hope we keep fighting for this thing. I'll see you guys next time. But first, handstand push-ups. Ready? Oh, okay, that's not gonna happen. Green instead of whatever particular skin tone you're God damn it. Okay.